I have 8 random questions here. You pick
Okay.
3 numbers, 1 through 8, and whatever questions you pick, that's where we start.
I'm gonna go 2 first.
Okay. If you had the opportunity to jump into one of your favorite movies just to do one particular scene, what would you choose and why?
I mean, one of my favorites is, maybe something like force majeure, you know? I mean, I can't speak that language, but when because the way that director works, he doesn't really write any scenes. He just kind of lets the actors improvise. So that could be really interesting. Maybe that scene where, the avalanche is coming and he doesn't protect his wife or kids. That could be fun. What else? Maybe something silly like in Juno. There's so many good lines. Maybe when she walks into the convenience store and she's like, she just has the best lines in that scene.
Silencio, old man. Look, I just drank my weight in Sunny D and I gotta go pronto.
Juno and force majeure are A+ answers to that question.
Right.
I will take that.
But specific scenes?
Also, I feel like you'll be back on ladies' night, so you can keep giving me answers every time we cross paths.
Okay,
again.
I'm gonna think about this. Is gonna haunt me for the rest of the day.
That's the goal for Dicey Questions questions, so I feel like I've won already.
Okay,
all right,
good.
so you picked a number 2. What's your next number?
3.
Number 3 is my lucky number, and I love this question. Can you tell me what the most memorable rap gift you've ever received or given was?
Ooh, okay. A really good one was just recently I did a job and the entire cast and crew got Carhartt jackets.
Ooh.
And you know how usually with rap gifts they put the name of the movie everywhere and it's really big and obnoxious, which is great, but the director just put it in a tiny little box on the corner so it just looks like a really sick Carhartt jacket. That was bomb.com. Yeah.
Another A+ answer.
I
My
agree.
Carhartt jacket is my festival jacket, and it comes with me everywhere. So
Yeah.
anytime I get the opportunity to buy something from that brand, I
Yeah.
do.
It's
We're
good.
not sponsored by them, but we should be.
Let's make that happen.
And then I'll make a ladies' night jacket, and it'll have like really subtle branding.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that we're getting good ideas right now. All right, 3rd and final number.
9.
There's no 9.
There's no.
1
Oh
through-
yeah, because it's 1 through 8.
1 through 8.
Good.
I bet you anything. I know there's
about
guys out there with more sides. Mine's 8-sided.
No, that was completely idiotic of me. 8.
Number 8. This is just a fun, silly one. This is
Okay.
our zombie apocalypse question. No one's picked this one in quite a while.
Okay.
Let's say there is a zombie outbreak. You can pick 2 past co-stars to team up with. Who do you choose that would give you the best chance of surviving the outbreak?
Okay. I think Melissa McCarthy. She'd be really good in a zombie apocalypse. I think she'd be really handsy. I think she's pretty fierce. She could fight some people, and she'd make it fun. She'd make it light and fun. Just a really funny zombie apocalypse.
I believe all of this.
Yeah,
about
don't
her.
you think? She'd
I
have a
feel
good
like she's
sense
got
of humor
endless
about it.
skills in this
Yeah.
situation for some reason.
Good for morale.
Okay.
Who else? Frances McDormand. Yeah, she'd be great. She'd be the alpha of the pack. She would be so smart. She'd know where to go, what to do, and I'd just follow. The thing is, I don't think I'd make it in a zombie apocalypse.
You don't think any of these filmmaking skills you've picked up
No.
would translate?
No, I don't. Whenever I think about if the world ended, okay, you know when you watch a disaster movie and there's like an extra in the first scene that gets like bonked on the head and dies? That's what I want. I don't think I could deal. Maybe I could survive, but I don't really want to because I love television. I just want to sit around. I'd have to really do a lot of I'd have to work. I don't want to do that. I want to be lazy.
I always play that game with my family, and
Yeah.
we're like, I'm the only one who would make the distance, and my mom would be the first one out just because she'd be like, I can't
do it.
I'm done.
Yeah.
So you're in good company at
I
least.
want salt and vinegar chips and a Diet Coke, and that would be,
Yeah.
that'd be so annoying.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back for a new edition of Collider Ladies Night. Very excited about Samara Weaving's on the show, finally. I feel like this has been a long time coming. I've been following you everywhere for many years, and now the ladies' night time has come.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
We're gonna be married?
What, are you having second thoughts?
What is the movie you saw, the performance you saw, personal experience you had, whatever it may be, that first made you say to yourself, I absolutely have to be an actor?
I have to do this? Okay, so my family and I, we were living in Florence for 6 months, and there were no like English speaking theaters, and for some reason we went to visit, this is a long-winded story, went to visit my mother's side of the family in Malta, and they had one English speaking theater. So I hadn't seen a movie in a theater for a very long time. I think I was 12, and we walked into the theater and we watched Pirates of the Caribbean. I just remember leaving the theater. I was like angry at how awesome it was. And I was furious because I just wanted to be a part of whatever had just happened to me. Like I had just fully escaped and been immersed in this world and had the most incredible experience. And I think that was when I had decided like, oh, whatever just happened to me, I need to do that. How do I make that happen?
I get that. There's something indescribably special about that movie's movie magic and its ability to like envelop you and make you appreciate the craft while also making you want to like step into that world. If that makes any
as
sense.
a 12-year-old, it was perfect.
I was definitely like the pitch perfect age for it to have that kind of effect on me. But I didn't want to do the work. I wanted to watch other people do the hard work, and I wanted to sit here and celebrate it.
I mean, and now doing it. The thing is, my dad also comes from like he's a teacher of film, and he watches a lot of film noir. That's what his PhD was in. So growing up, we'd be watching all these really bizarre, beautiful film noir movies. So being able to go and actually see like a somewhat mainstream movie was delightful.
I had jotted that down about your dad. I have like a weird two-part question that hopefully I can articulate properly. The first part, what is something about the way your dad loves film and teaches film that kind of rubbed off on you and has shaped the film lover and maker you've become?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful to him because we weren't allowed to watch like television growing up, like on like, and we didn't have like cable, and they actually tricked me and my sister. They told us that our television didn't work, but then we found out later they just unplugged it, and we never thought to check. But we'd see them watching like SBS late at night, and they just would lie to us and go, oh, it's working for some reason. How did we not think? Anyway, so Dad had this like incredible library of DVDs in our like basement movie den area. And so most nights we'd watch like old film noir movies or just like weird obscure foreign films. So me and my sister kind of grew up with being immersed in film. He would, when I started working, he didn't have any doubts or try to talk me out of it. I was 13 and I just said, hey, how do you do that? Because I want to do that. If someone can pay me to do that, what are we doing? Like, let's get going. And he would drive me like the 2 hours down to Sydney from where we were living in Canberra, take me to auditions, break down scenes with me, and really help me. And when I came to LA, he was the first one that came over with me and set me up with managers and agents. And he was just so supportive. I mean, my whole family was. And even today, like if I get a script, I'll send it to him and go, what do you think about this? And he'll like send me notes or, so he definitely had a pivotal role in, I think, how I got here.
I love that you have that kind of support at your back every single step of the way to kind of flip that around now and almost ask for the opposite in a sense. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like when your family is in the industry that you get into, you could kind of feel the need to maybe follow in their footsteps. And actually, pirates might be the answer to this. Do you remember the earliest moment where you kind of realized, I guess, what your path would wind up being separate to that? Something about your voice that would be distinct from what you had been taught early on growing up?
Oh, that's interesting. I think because my dad wouldn't let us, or both my parents wouldn't let us watch sort of mainstream television, we of course would like sneak off, and I think YouTube was just starting, and so I would watch episodes of like The Office and like all these American incredible shows, and I think that really had a massive influence, because I am such a comedy nerd. So I think seeing that and just really like watching Friends and Seinfeld and The Office, and finding movies like Horrible Bosses and just these incredibly funny, like Juno, or Napoleon Dynamite, like all these just like weird American comedies, I think is very different and such a departure from what my family was like showing us. So I think that's definitely come in.
I spend a ridiculous amount of time thinking about Napoleon Dynamite still.
Napoleon Dynamite is great.
It's timeless.
Aren't they doing another one or no?
I hope. I don't know.
Was that a lie?
It might be. I don't know. I never know when the internet is true.
I hope they do.
But I know one particular thing that was a sequel that we're like, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? That finally became official. It was Ready or Not.
Oh my gosh.
We'll come back to that.
Isn't that exciting?
I have another follow-up question from something you brought up before. You brought up your first trip to LA, and I'm always curious to hear about that experience, because I feel like oftentimes that can be someone's first encounter with filmmaking as a business. So can you remember what it was like, I guess, trying to figure out what your goals would be for that trip, and then also tell me what wound up happening and if it met those goals and expectations?
Yeah. I mean, I think I was at an age where at 18, you just know everything. Like nothing is scary. Like you're the smartest, I think, at 18. Do you know what I mean?
So disturbing, but yes.
You're like, I can figure out anything and everyone's dumb. So there was no fear or doubt in my mind. Like I would just go to LA and it would just all work out, because why wouldn't it? Which I think came in handy. If I had to do it now, it would be a different story. But I was really fortunate because I was on a soap opera in Australia called Home and Away. And for some reason, a lot of Aussie actors have come through that show. And American agents recognize that. So even though they hadn't watched me in it, which I think might be a good thing because questionable acting. But I was able to set up a lot of meetings with really great managers and agents because of that show. So they were all lined up already and ready to go. So that was really great. I think what was funny was me and my dad, I guess we didn't do a lot of research. I don't know. But we figured, we'll just get a house in Hollywood because Hollywood is where all the people go. We didn't realize that Hollywood is maybe the dodgiest area in LA. And we landed in LA and thought it would be smart to get the train.
Oh.
No one even knows it's a train. We got the train and we nearly died. It was the scariest, sketchiest train ride of our lives. But yeah, what else in LA? I think it was overwhelming just how massive it was, like walking into the CAA offices and just going, oh my God, like all the agents in Australia, they have these like beautiful little bungalows, it's not.
I still get like that when I walk into that building.
Yeah.
scares
it's something out of a Pixar villain's house. Do you know what I mean? It's like all glass and cement.
Kind of what it feels like. I also vividly remember when I first moved to LA having a similar idea of where to live. For some reason, I picked Times Square in Manhattan, and I loved it. And it was dead central, and I got to go anywhere, like super fast, loved it. I thought because I lived in Times Square, when I moved to LA, I should live as close to the Walk of Fame as humanly possible.
This is it.
And then I went apartment hunting, and I'm like, oh no.
Oh no, you don't
do that.
No, don't do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was the trip you booked Monster Trucks too, right?
Oh, is that right?
I think so.
Probably.
I read that somewhere, and that movie has a big place in my heart.
Oh, really?
It was one of my first set visits ever. And
no way.
For whatever, I mean, actually, I know what reason. We saw a scene that was like filmed in a rock quarry, and they gifted us steel-toed boots that I haven't worn since, but they just sit in the corner of my closet, and every time I look there, I think about Monster Trucks.
That's a good wrap gift. Steel-capped boots?
Hell what am I going to do with them, though?
I don't know.
They're kind of just like paperweights.
Stomp around in them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really upset my downstairs neighbors. That's what I'm going to do with them.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So to look at some of your earliest credits, I'm going to break this up into two parts here.
Yeah.
First, of all of your earliest shows and films, which would you credit with putting into focus most, what you would go on to value in an on-set environment, and also the stories you would tell?
Oh, that's interesting. I think what I learned pretty quickly is how much power an actor has when they are the lead, like when they're number one on the call sheet. I didn't realize how much like influence you have over the set and what the tone of that set is going to be. You know, if the lead comes in and is in a bad mood, the whole crew and cast can pick up on that, and it has a ripple down effect. So I think I didn't realize like, oh, I have sort of a leadership role in this. I thought I'd just like rock up and be a silly goose and just do my job as an actor. But there is also this, leadership role that I think I've learnt over the years, and now I take quite seriously, because some jobs you walk on and the lead might not really understand that they have that power, and it does really have an effect on how things are run and how smoothly things go. So that was a lesson I learned pretty early on.
To follow up on that briefly, is there a past number one on the call sheet that you admired and appreciated how they carried themselves and kind of like back-pocketed what they did and now apply to your own work as a number one?
Yeah, I think it was on 3 Billboards, seeing Frances, how she just would just greet everyone every day, and she'd pal around with the crew, and, you know, she wouldn't necessarily like run off to the green room and hang out. She'd be like on set and making sure, because they're long days and it's really demanding sometimes. And her just having such an upbeat energy, I just watched with awe, you know. So that was, and same with like on 9 Perfect Strangers, Nicole Kidman and Melissa McCarthy, what they brought to that set was, incredible.
I love hearing when people I admire have those particular qualities, because it's everything
great
in this business.
Yeah.
That first question was about you discovering what you wanted going forward and the type of work you wanted to produce. The other side of that is kind of how the industry then looks at you. Do you remember the very first movie or show that you were in that made you feel like, yes, like this well reflects what I'm capable of and how I want this industry to look at me?
Oh, gosh. That's hard, isn't it? Because you do I still have a certain amount of like imposter syndrome and sort of, you know,
it's so easy for me to give like a really loud side of that, but like I have my own imposter syndrome. So like, I get it.
Where there's sort of a self-conscious or just, I guess, when are they going to find out that like they've made a terrible mistake? But I don't know. I think when The Babysitter came out, that was because that was my first American movie, and I was the lead in it. and it was on the Warner Brothers lot, and I just remember walking on and seeing the Friends fountain, and we were working on the street where like E.T. had been, like that was a real moment like of, okay, this is different. This is a different ball game. And yeah, after that, like I think this might sound whatever, but when I remember like when I first got noticed, like living in the world, I think that's kind of a moment where you go, oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, this is like a real thing.
I have a follow-up to that kind of ties into Borderline a little bit, because Borderline is a not-so-great fan encounter, but there are a lot of fan encounters that, like, really mean something, and I do think highlight that, you know, the work you do, yes, it's entertainment, but it can also make a really big difference in someone's life. So do you remember the very first time you realized your work could matter on that level?
I think so. I mean, I think it probably happened back in Australia, because Home and Away had such a massive following in Australia. There would be like fan mail of things that I wouldn't even think about, but people writing in saying how it's made them change their life in a different way or make a decision that they've wanted to do for a long time. I don't know if there's like a specific moment, but yeah, that's really cool when that happens, because I think for me, I'm just having fun and I get to, you know, play make-believe for a living. How great's that? But yeah, cherry on top that it touched someone and
it matters.
Yeah, that it matters. Yeah.
You never know what people could see, and they could just like feel it to their that's what I always say also during award season in general. Like, I'm so glad that we're honoring particular films at the Oscars. But I'm a big believer every single movie made has a fan and was important to someone, and any opportunity I get to like shout that to the world, I will take it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be working if no one liked it.
You working a lot. So before I get to Borderline Full Force, actually, I don't want to skip this question.
Okay.
I love asking this question on Ladies' Night because I'm obsessed with like the variety of approaches that one could take to do their work as an actor. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily have to be like an official acting technique, just anything you want. Of all of the actors you've ever worked with, can you name someone who has, I guess, a similar approach to the work as your own, where like the second you met them, you're like we vibe, we're in sync?
Yeah.
But then I also wanted an example of the opposite, someone who challenged you and maybe challenged you to try something new and for the better.
I think I recently worked with Gallner, and we have a very similar working style. We both sort of over-prepare, and we want to almost learn the whole thing off by heart before we even get there. And he was just so generous and playful. And Adam, the director, was kind of amazing. He just let us do whatever we wanted, which was so trusting of him and really kind of almost alarming at first, because you're not really getting a lot of notes. He's just going, yeah, great, do that again. But yeah, Kyle and I work very similarly. Who works differently? I guess there's actors that I've heard about. I haven't worked with specifically, I don't think, and I find it almost infuriating because I'm so jealous that they can do this, is that they just rock up and they kind of look over their notes and they're like, yeah, we're good to go. And they nail it. You know, I think Barry Keogh does that, where he just is like, yeah, I got it. And I'm going, I've been preparing for months and months and prepping, and there are just these unicorns that can just rock up and go, yeah,
my brain can't. Proof that I'm on the same page as you and not just being able to rock up and do it on the spot.
No, they're aliens. I don't get it.
I can't. I'll take a moment longer to highlight Adam and Kyle, because I also love taking an opportunity to celebrate the people in this business that I know and love. Carolina is the movie that you worked with them on. What is something about the two of them and the way that they operate as an actor's director and a scene partner that helped you exceed your own expectations for your work in that film?
I think the whole because the whole crew had worked together a lot. So they had a really good shorthand. They just made it a really safe space to be really vulnerable and really playful. I don't know what it was. It was just this sort of magic, I think, because they'd had a history there. And there's almost this like, I know everyone says like, they were like family to me, but it really was. Like we would hang out on the weekends and Kyle and I would rehearse. Oh, I was about to tell a story, but I'll give it away. Can't do that.
The time will come.
The time will come.
I promise you. I will spotlight that movie often.
But yeah, it was they made it just really easy for me to be super vulnerable, and I think that role I had to be. And that can be hard when you're maybe a bit intimidated or stressed, or you don't really, I don't know, feel comfortable with everyone. But they just we all really clicked, and we were all really had the same mentality.
That's making me think of this question that I had jotted down, because I feel like every single time I see a new movie of yours and I see a new performance, like one of the first words that I lean on to describe it is fearless.
Oh.
And I know the fearlessness can be different from an outsider's perspective compared to the person who's like putting themselves in those vulnerable situations. So it was making me wonder, of all of like the big ambitious scenes you've ever done, is there any one where like, you really needed that fearlessness? Like you saw what was on the page and you're like, I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah.
But then you crushed it.
Well, I don't know if I crushed it. I think... I recently did a film. Jorma Taccone directed it with Jason Segel, and that was just such a interesting tone that I hadn't really done before. I mean, I've done like horror action comedies before, but this was a little bit harder on the comedy, and some of the scenes, Jason and I had to, and Jason's a genius at this, but really play the stakes so realistically, but meanwhile saying the most ridiculous things, which made it really funny. But in order for it to work and to get the joke, I had to be like, okay, I've got tears in my eyes. I'm hyperventilating. This is a really serious moment. But then I have Jason Segel, the comedic genius who I've admired since I watched Forgetting Sarah Marshall and like How I Met Your Mother. And he's making me laugh. So honestly, like trying not to laugh at Jason Segel was maybe the hardest thing I've ever had to do in a scene, and really had to prepare and go, okay, just don't, you can't, he's not funny. He's not fun. Like that actually took a lot of mental gymnastics.
I cannot wait to, that one's the trip? Mm-hmm. Okay. Very excited about that.
Yeah.
All right. I'll get my ready or not 2 questions out of the way. Okay. You probably can't tell me much, but I'll just ask this one first to get it done with. Are you filming soon?
We are filming soon. Yeah, really soon.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
Given you're filming soon, I'm assuming you read a script.
Maybe.
What is something about the new story that you think will challenge you in a new way that the first one did not?
I don't know how to say this. I think I'm just going to have to get a lot of massages and a lot of Epsom salt baths might be, if you're getting my drift.
Yes, I am.
Like a lot of stretching. Yeah, I think that's going to be key, if you catch my drift.
Yes, those are rock solid teases. I'll kind of borrow that question phrasing to start to teeter into borderline now, because I love all genres. I think it's probably abundantly clear that horror is my favorite, and like, truly, you are one of the best that we have in this space, and you have so much experience. Then this script comes your way. What is something about what you would get to do in Borderline that made you think, like, by doing this project, I'll get to flex my muscles in a new way?
I think what I really loved about Jimmy's writing, and, you know, he's my husband, so that's the greatest. And I just really wanted to work with him, and it was so much fun because it didn't feel like work at all. But what we discussed about this character that I hadn't really done before was I got it from in King of Comedy, you know, De Niro and Scorsese. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Jerry Lewis's character. So he's the one that gets kidnapped. And he's so he's calm about it. There's still like fear. It's still very much like a realistic reaction. But there's kind of this level-headedness that I really liked, and it also enabled him to be the straight man. Or no, what do we call a straight man now? There's a different name.
Is there a different? I am not aware of it, but I understand the question.
Voice of reason, I guess.
Okay, I feel like that would apply.
Maybe. Or straight. I can be a straight
grounded
woman.
Voice of reason, anchor.
I don't know.
One of those words.
Surely there's a newer version of that word. But yeah, he was able to be, for lack of a better term, the straight man in it. And because I think with other horror comedies I'd done, I was playing the truth of it, but in this very sort of heightened, very realistic, but like I'm terrified, and playing the fear in a much sort of bigger way, or not exaggerate, but you know what I mean. But with Borderline, I wanted to challenge myself to see, okay, how can I portray the stakes and fear, but still lend myself more to the comedy by being more of a straight woman? Because Ray and Alba, and they're so fantastic in this. And when I read it, I sort of realized my role would be to support them and make sure that they're that the jokes sort of landed. And the way that I figured it out was, oh, okay, I have to be sort of this strangely calm person, character within the context of this terrifying situation.
I have thought of a million follow-up questions.
Okay.
Let me see how many I can remember. Another quality of your character in the movie that I loved is how you play into maybe the not so great qualities of celebrity. Like at one point it was like someone said like, oh, that's such a Sofia thing to say, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then you also do exude like a genuine, believable warmth for the people in your orbit that you love. What was it like for you trying to combine that so that both felt authentic and true to character?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say it was written that way. I didn't have to do a lot of heavy lifting, but I think for me, I just thought about, okay, a pop star in the 90s who's had to deal with the horrors of, you know, celebrity and fame and having to be a boss of people, and also being a woman in the 90s, like that, you have to be so strong in order to survive that. So I sort of carried that through. But yeah, I really did love the little, because I think she had lived in this bubble for a long time. So her sort of like loss of sort of reality in certain areas was really fun to play too. And Eric Dane's character, I think lent itself. That's where you could see her sort of heart, and that's where like that's where you see that she's like loving and capable of being a good person.
I quite enjoyed that balance. It was a big contributor to making it fun and entertaining, but keeping me like truly invested through to the finish. I loved that. Yeah. I'll go back to Jimmy briefly here, because this is his first film as a director, which is a very, very big deal. Clearly, you know each other very well. But is there anything you saw him do on this set in that role that made even you go like, my God, I thought you'd be good at this, but I never realized you'd be capable of that?
Yeah, he was so great. It was so fun. It was just so fun. And we had such a good shorthand. And I think we respect each other so much that it made it very easy to do. I just... You know, directing a movie is tough. It's insanity. I could never do it. I have no interest. It's all consuming. It's so stressful. Something's going wrong every day. You know, you have to problem solve on the fly. And it was during COVID. So that was a whole added layer of things. So just watching him deal with that and keep a level head and lean on people, and that I really admired and went, oh yeah, you can do this.
I want to put up the spoiler warning in a minute to talk about maybe one particular scene or two. But before I do that, I do want to highlight Ray and Alba in this a little more because
Can you believe?
It's not that like I didn't think they could do. I guess I wasn't expecting the level that they went to with these roles. So can you recall the first time you saw each of them do something, either in prep or on set, that made you go like, my God, like you are really going for it with these roles and I'm loving it.
I mean, Ray, like you just meet him and you go, all of this is just fantastic. And then you saw like he just would go for it. I think Jimmy would just be telling the camera operator, like just follow him around because he was so free. He just would do whatever he wanted. He was such a risk taker, which with this kind of character that he's playing could be terrifying, but he was so fearless and so funny and so heartbreaking and terrifying, which is such a hard character to juggle, and absolutely nailed it. And then Alba, I think Jimmy was watching auditions one day and said, Sam, come look at this. And we both were like, oh, we have to get this woman in here ASAP. She's so sweet looking and plays such an unhinged psychopath. It's incredible.
She has some moments in this movie and I was just like tickled. I was just cackling.
Chef's kiss.
Love it.
Incredible.
So we can talk about maybe some of those moments. At this point, I'm going to lift the spoiler warning. If you have not seen Borderline, go see it. It's in theaters on March 14th, and it's also available on demand. Go check it out, and it's great because you just push pause on the video, you go see the movie, come right back, push play, starts again right here. Now that we're in a safe space. Before I lean into the specific sequence I want to talk about, I'll give you a broader question just in case it does answer this one. Of all of the scenes that you have to do in Borderline, which did you think was going to be the toughest for you going into it? And ultimately, was it, or did a different scene catch you by surprise?
Okay, the scene, I can just be really
go for
open
it
about this. Okay, the scene where Alba and I are fighting and then we stop to sing Celine Dion and then continue fighting. I mean, singing was scary, and then also just like taking this risk of being absolutely like ridiculous, like throwing myself on the piano and the spotlight drops. I was really excited to do the scene, but also that I thought was going to be really hard, but it ended up being so much fun.
That scene, that was the one that I was dying to highlight. Just like an exceptional sequence. And I love like the vibe shifts.
Yeah.
And it does it seamlessly.
No, and you're reading it and you're going, excuse me, what? This is just this beautiful little insane surrealist moment in the middle of a fight scene. Never seen that before. Like, genius.
Can you break down the prep process for something like that? How do you all go about kind of like hashing out, like the blocking and other things you need to do in order to make sure that like ultimately in the edit, those transitions do happen as smoothly as we see them?
Yeah, I mean, the stunt team was incredible and helped us out so much. And a lot of the camera transitions that Jimmy and the DP figured out, because we had to like charge through this glass window and then we had to shoot outside. It took I think it was like a 3-day sequence. And then of course we had to bring like a piano teacher on and a voice coach and dub over that. And then we had to practice playing the piano at the same time. It was mental, but and that was the scene I was most nervous about, but it was so much fun.
I love how you keep finding yourself in roles where you have to sing.
I know.
Chevalier is great too. That's a movie that is not talked about nearly enough.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was very daunting. Opera singing. My God.
Which was more difficult to do believably or replicate believably, the Chevalier singing or this scene?
The Chevalier singing Italian opera and then a French opera in front of like a whole set of people was the most terrifying thing
we need to turn this into a trilogy. And like, you need to play another singer, but like with a different style or in a different era. Come on.
Please don't make me sing anymore.
I will say, it's working quite well.
No, it's really scary. I really don't like it.
As someone who refuses to like dance in public and also even do karaoke, I don't know who I think I am to have any business putting that pressure on you, but I like both movies quite a bit.
I'll dance. I like a good boogie, but I don't want to sing.
Take me out of both. I don't want to do it. We have to wind down. And this is the final question of Collider Ladies Night. I will warn you, people don't seem to like answering it, but I think it's a really important thing to think about. So in this business, especially this time of year, we love giving each other awards. I think that is super cool. I think we should keep on doing that. But I find that nobody tells themselves good job as much as they should. So I want to know something you accomplished making Borderline that you know you're always going to be able to look back on and say, you know what, really proud of what I did there.
I am proud of it. I think it's really good. I'm really proud of Jimmy because that's such an incredible thing to do. Most people can't do that, and he smashed it. Yeah, I'm proud of myself for singing. Ray and I that was terrifying too. Jimmy wanted us to sing a song that he wrote, and you can hear it when in the wedding sequence. That's Ray and I singing.
Like real you singing?
Yeah.
The other scene, is that real you too? Or is it dubbed?
Which other scene?
The one with Alba.
Yeah, that's us. No, wait, no, that's dubbed. That's totally dubbed.
I was wondering.
But there's a scene,
But this other song is really
Celine Dion, we have to get someone else to sing. But there's I think it's the montage of us in the church, and Jimmy wrote this song. I can't remember the lyrics, but there's something like "Sweet baby Jesus," like "We love you." I can't remember, but it's like something classic Jimmy lines. And proud of ourselves for going and recording that. Yeah,
I'll take that.
Yeah,
I'll take that. Now I'm gonna have to watch it again and really pay close attention so I could hear every little bit of it.
Yeah, I think that's where it is.
I love it. I'm going to say huge congratulations.
Thank you.
I just had an absolute blast watching this. And for whatever reason, I feel like I needed it the moment that I saw it. So job very well done yet again.
Thank
you. Congrats on everything you've accomplished on Borderline and everything coming your way in the future. Hurry up and come back to Ladies Night.
I will. Thanks so much for having me. This was so fun.